Hey, it's Empress Rose here, and welcome to our collective reading. Take what works, leave what doesn't. Oh, yes, the scrying ball. We give the scrying ball today. And what I saw was, at first, it seemed like Africa. And then there were all of these sort of angels, but very sort of, traditional humans with wings kind of things. But there were a lot of them. There were many of them. And then there's sad bear or panda is where we ended up. I would say like we're talking about some kind of protection. If there's sadness or some kind of protection around it. All right, I've got the Moonology, pulled some cards out of the Moonology and Work Your Light deck, mega deck here, combined deck, but we just got Moonology cards. So this is cool. This is amazing. Remember how last week we got full moon in Pisces, balancing the physical and the spiritual. This is new moon in Pisces. Meditate and contemplate is what it talks about. This can also talk about surrendering, feeling, intuiting truth, soulmate energy. I mean, we do have the new moon here, so we are talking about going into something with intentions, but not necessarily knowing how it's going to turn out. So we have these two little fishies, Pisces again. Spiritual, meditate and contemplate. So making sure we're taking time to both connect the head and the heart is what I usually hear with that. Especially if we're entering a space we've never been before or we're uncertain about. Intentionally connecting with our heart space, with our intuition, and with our brain, of course, using both aspects. Combining them, using those emotions as information and figuring out what we want to do with the feelings that we're having. And then we have a new start is coming, new moon. So 2 new moons. So wow. New moon, a new start, a new adventure. Yeah, just it seems like it's very unknown and unknowable. And kind of feeling and thinking your way through the beginning stages of something. But yeah, it's a very unknown energy coming in here, very new. And maybe this is just an idea of something. This because it's so new. There's something so new and so beginning and so unknown. And it's just the slightest bit of intuition bringing you into this. But there's a whole cycle that comes, and this is just the beginning part of creating something, making something, starting something. It seems very new. I see very much like a blank chalkboard, which I guess you would just be writing ideas on at some point. A clean slate, I guess, is kind of like what that is also about. It's just so new. I think it's just not something that you've seen or thought of before. So that's cool. So staying open-minded for the new things. And then what's interesting is I pulled the Good Tarot today. It's not my favorite deck. I mean, no offense to everybody that loves it and the artists that poured their hearts and souls into it. But yeah, so I bet it called to me today. So from the bottom of this deck, 7 of Fire, 7 of Wands, that was in our internal last week. I love this one though. Oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever seen this card or really paid attention to it. A unicorn on a cliff with sort of birds of fire all around it. I love it. It's again that standing your ground. Having earned this, having climbed to this place, having earned this spot. And last week, it was a thought. It was in your inner landscape. And this week, it's I mean, these can be standalone readings, but they can also be storylines that themes seem to pop up through them week after week and then fade off and then pop up week after week. So yeah, standing your ground. There's an excitement here of having attained something. And I do see, like, these are just reminding me of the many angels I saw in the scrying ball. A protected space. And it's yours, and you have acquired it. You are here, and you have a right to be here. All right, so past, present, inner landscape. What's the issue? Environment, to-do list, possible outcome. So this first card in the past, well, let me take a look here. Wow, we have a king and queen here of the same suit, air, swords. A knight or a messenger. 3 major arcana, patience, strength, high priestess, which is looking a lot like these new moons here. And fortune's wheel. So chance, unexpected twists and turns. Interesting. Okay, so in the pre-shuffle, I pulled this card, popped forward. I didn't pull it. It popped forward. So patience, this is the strength card. Something that's been a long time coming. Something that's been you've held your ground. Something that you've held your ground for. You've made space for this inspired magic. You've made space for the magic. It maybe hasn't, like, I want to say made space for you, or you've made space for some sort of magic. You've been devoted to something. It hasn't necessarily been reciprocated from that thing, but you've been staying strong. You may have struggled with doubts. You may have struggled with the purpose, the point of it, but you've remained with this thing because you feel called to, or because, not as an obligation typically, but as you love doing it, and you love the thing, and you love doing it for its own sake. And so you've shown a lot of patience and a lot of strength sticking with something, even though it wasn't necessarily like giving back, right? Because then it's not patience or strength. It doesn't require strength when we're, oh yeah, this is going really well. It doesn't require patience, strength, stamina, persistence, any of that if everything's going well, because we're getting the immediate feedback that, oh, this works. This is going well. So in the past, you've stuck with something. You've had a lot of stamina. Current situation, we have King of Air. This is a fair communicator. Leadership, maybe communicating something. There's truth, there's fairness. It is interesting that this King of Air, it doesn't, this is really interesting too, because we have the wings. I just saw wings. I labeled it angel, but it was humans with wings. This is really interesting because the King of Air is normally communicating. This King of Air has a lot of kindness. The King of Air this is about communication. This is about ideas. And there's usually a sense of balance. But there's like a message from someone in authority here. I don't think they're speaking the message, so I would expect it to be written here, because this deck always has some unusual aspects to it. But there's some clarity. You may, I feel like you're not face to face with whatever message or information comes in. You're not talking to the person directly. They're maybe a few steps removed. The communication can be very sharp. I want to say the breath is very sharp. The communication may have taken a while to find you. And it's interesting because the King of Air typically is about a person, but I think the person isn't necessarily here in your environment right now. I feel like there's more of a vibe of communication here, of clear communication and fair communication. This person is very fair, very steady, able to understand sort of the ebb and flow of life, the good and the bad, making exceptions for rules. It's a rule enforcer with enough life experience to know that sometimes we have to break the rules. So, but there is a lot of kindness, a lot of experience. If this person, and the emphasis seems to be more on the message from the person, not the person itself. But this person has a lot of kindness. Their experience has allowed them to have a lot of kindness. Maybe at some point in the past, they were very harsh, they were very overbearing. And this could be you or someone you're dealing with here. But this communication is tempered somehow. There's a lightness to it and an authority to it. So both things. So again, hitting the Pisces idea of the high and the low, the lightness and the heavy authority with it as well. And then in your hopes, your fears, your inner landscape, you have High Priestess. You're intuiting something. And look, the High Priestess, like I said, when I first saw it, it's looking like these new moons. It's this intuition, but it's a sliver of intuition. It's not the full knowing. And here we have the moon and its cycles here. And oh, it's also got Hecate vibes. And so yeah, there's something that's seen. There's a sense that you may be in two worlds. Again, we have the angel wings all over this. And maybe this is why I picked this deck and I hadn't really opened it. You know, I shuffled it and whatever and saw the patience card. But I'm really amazed at how many wings, you know, talking about air, talking about communication, how many wings were present both in my scrying ball and are laying on this table in front of me. So this High Priestess, this faint, I don't know if you can see all the wings that are overlaid over her face. So communication, but yeah, there's a intuition. Your hope, I think you might be hopeful that whatever you've intuited is real, is true, but it's so at the beginning that there's really not a lot that you have right now except for intuition. And then this like message or this high-low message from this King of Air, so, or this person. So yeah, this High Priestess feeling like you're in two worlds, but really spiritual information, very personal to you. I love seeing the High Priestess in the inner landscape because it is a really personal intuition. I don't feel like you're talking about it, even though it's next to this King of Air. I feel like you're intuiting something is coming. There's a new thing. There's a new start, maybe a new project, a new job, something, a new person in your life. And I think you're just hopeful that you're having that intuition. And then we have Queen of Air in reverse. So I like this Queen of Air. This owl is interesting too because it was the other card that came out when I was shuffling the spirit animal deck for here. So, or not came out, it was just like on the bottom of the deck calling to me as I was shuffling and just like, oh, wow, look at that one. So there were two, and this one was the owl. But the Queen of Air in reverse is very frustrating to me. I don't like seeing her here. I mean, this is a bitch. This person is bona fide, like, they say rude things. They may be being like, they may say something like, oh, but I'm just being honest. We can be honest and kind at the same time. That's ridiculous to think otherwise. So this Queen of Air is, it's either someone who went no communication, which we did have last week, a hint of that with the Two of Swords. Someone who is not talking at all, and maybe they are not talking to you. There's an attitude problem with the Queen of Air in reverse. There's a smugness, rightness, an ego issue, that there's just this incomprehension that anybody else could have a point, or could be right, or could also be smart, or could also be aware of the world. It's that this person has, and it might be just a moment. It might be something they cycle through from time to time. It might be just a period of time that they're in. It might not be like a permanent character flaw, but they might be cycling through either a time of not speaking, or a time of perhaps when they do speak, perhaps the not speaking is just fine. Perhaps because when they do speak, it's not good. So maybe someone's like not talking to you right now, or you're not talking to someone right now, but this Queen of Air really thinks that they are the rightest of the right, and they have the truth. And that's what's interesting about the King of Air, is this one has this perspective of your truth and your truth and your truth, and maybe the truth too, but we're all definitely getting little bits of it. So this King of Air has that perspective. They know that people say things the way they perceive them, or the way that they want this king, this decider, this authority figure to perceive things. And so this person can see through that. So if you do have an authority figure that's like managing conflict or something like that, understand that this reading is saying that that person does see that this person is not communicating well, or healthily, or helpfully. So yeah, this is just really bad communication. Either that's by like freezing somebody out. And I just get this ill intent from the card. It's not like, well, we just kind of stopped talking and hanging out and it's fine. This is like, I'm not talking to you kind of vibe. And it's a person, and maybe they've been doing this for a while, or maybe there's something like that. It's like not talking to people as punishment is considered verbal abuse. It's a type of verbal abuse. And sometimes, when people have not talked to me out of like anger or punishment, it's usually fabulous, because I would far rather have that than what they were saying, and I was having to deal with that. So, if someone's not talking to you, it's kind of like, oh, that's the best option. Thank you. But if they are talking to you, is no point now. Okay. Enough of that. Let's move on to, in your environment, 7 of water. Okay, so this is going to be our 7 of cups. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of ways this could go. Someone may be weighing options. As King of Air would be sort of a judge or lawyer figure in whatever situation. That's the role they might be playing. If this is a petty situation, or a bigger situation, a legal situation, the King of Air could represent a judge. And maybe you don't ever go see the judge. Maybe it's all decided, on paper. I forget what that's called, but on the record. Maybe it's all decided on the record. And you don't really need to go in to see this person. But there's a lot of options here in 7 of water. Back to 7 of water, 7 of cups. Someone's considering some options. There's probably one that's really obvious, and that's like the right choice and the right thing and the way to go, and it's very intuitive, but they do have to, there might be a process, especially with the King of Air here, there might be a process they have to go through in order to select what they already want to select. A pro-con list where they eventually just go with what their gut was all along, but they might have to sort through some things. So if you are the King of Air, you are sorting through some things. There are options being presented to you. Would you like it like this? Would you like to do this? Would you like this? So I like this 7 of water here. It's abundant. It's a lot of options. As a Libra myself, that can be a little indecisive and weigh things a little too long. It also is terrifying, but for most people, it's a really exciting thing of having lots of options. And it could be you, or it could be this other person who's in this authority figure that's weighing their options. So I would just, and then we have this patience card sitting right above it. So I would be patient while somebody is sorting through what they want to do. They may land on something that's favorable to you, the option that you want them to land on. They may end up landing on them, but let them go through their process. yeah, let them go through their process and figure out what it is that they want. And we do want people knowing genuinely what they want, especially if this is about a relationship, which it could be with this these two fishies here. Although I'm not really seeing anything else. I'm seeing more like other things. So, I mean, it could be that too. So just letting this person make a genuine choice. Or you could be presented with several options. I can also see a scenario in which this King of Air is like, what do you want me to do about this situation? We can, here are sort of the legal options here. This is, so there's just options and someone's having to sort through them and make decisions. That might be you, that might be somebody else. But it's in your environment. So either options are being presented to you or someone else is sorting through options. Messenger of Fire, this is your to-do list. Knight of Wands. Oh, I want to say make a hasty decision. It's a snap judgment. Your intuition has a little bit, has something. So if you're presented with a lot of options, this is like make a snap judgment. Decide very quickly because your intuition is on fire here, right? We already have the fire here. And we have the 7 of fire and 7 of water. Does the water put out the fire? No, but both of them have this like, something has a rightful place in both of these. You do. And I think you intuit what that is, that rightful place is. You could prevaricate quite a bit on this, but your intuition is here strong and loud. And this messenger of fire is telling me to make a quick decision. You don't need, if you're presented with a lot of options, you know what you want already. This High Priestess has you knowing on some level. So feel free to make a quick decision. You don't have to do the spreadsheet this time. I'm a big fan of do the spreadsheet and make the intuitive choice afterwards or anyway. So just so that you know that you went through your options and you can feel confident, you can compare and contrast and figure out what feels better and kind of vibe with that. This messenger of fire, this Knight of Wands tells me leap. If you need to leap, if you shoot first, ask questions later. I mean, I'm not really literally advising that, but that's the vibe here of, you don't need to think too long about the options, And so making a snap decision, I think it's going to help you like trust yourself a little more going forward. You don't need to stay in self-doubt. You don't need to go through all the options. You don't need to figure it out intellectually. I mean, we do have meditate and contemplate. So maybe there is a sense of getting in touch with your intuition, but it seems like you already are. And this messenger of fire is saying, let your intuition make a quick decision. Respond quickly. If someone sends you a message, an email, a text, feel free to respond quickly because you're already intuiting what this is about or what's going on here. So you can make a quick decision. You know what you want. Probably more than you think you do, but your intuition is going to make this decision for you and you can go with it. Trust it. And then possible outcome. I like this. This is like roll the dice. And this is like the dice are going to land on something a little bit surprising. So the 10, Fortune's Wheel, it's events outside yourself. It's like you're rolling the dice or spinning the wheel, and where it lands is, I think, going to be a little bit surprising. It can be a twist of fate. It can be a plot twist. And just a shift, an unexpected shift. Like what you do, the decision you make, I think like from a heart space, from an intuitive space, but the decision you make actually has unintended consequences, and they're good. Like you didn't realize that making this second decision and really being intuitive about this was going to have such an effect on your life, and maybe change the way the course of something, and not like the whole course of your life, although that's possible. And there are moments where that happens, where we make a split-second decision and the whole course of our life just changes. But this is, yeah, this is sort of like taking a chance, messenger of fire, taking a chance, taking a risk, an intuitive, quick decision risk, and then the course of something just changing very unpredictably. And I think that's why you need to listen to your intuition, because I don't think you're going to be able to think, you're never going to be able to see how that it's going to unfold like this. You don't see that. You can't see it. It's going to feel like a twist of fate, a plot twist, or something unexpected, an unexpected effect for something that you did. Like you spun that wheel of fortune, or what's it called on, Wheel of Fortune? Yeah, Wheel of Fortune. You spun the Wheel of Fortune, and where it's landing, you don't know, but you knew to spin. You spun as hard as you thought was right, and where it lands is going to surprise you. And I think that's why these feel so blank to me, is this new start is coming, and really following your intuition with this new start. And it's so blank, it's so open, it's so new. So I really like this reading. Normally, with Seven of Water in the mix, I'm thinking like, okay, spreadsheets, yeah, we have to use our mind to make an intuitive decision, or we're debating. I can kind of see debate teams coming together and figuring out, with their arguments, and seeing who has the better argument, and this real intellectual process for what's actually an emotional and intuitive thing. And going through that intellectual process is important. But here I'm seeing you don't do the whole process. If you're used to that kind of thing, don't do it this time. Just make an impulsive decision. It's an impulse. All right, and then we've got the spirit animal deck here. All right. That's interesting. Okay, well, we'll just take that then. I like this. Okay, number 37, lion spirit, be generous of spirit. And what I'm seeing here is this sort of leader. I mean, it could be a masculine leader. They don't always, obviously, our kings and queens can be of either gender, but this lion spirit, be generous of spirit. And then number 14, patience. This is typically called strength, and it is typically a lion right here. And typically our high priestess is going to have a little kitty cat too. So I'm glad that the cat showed up here. It's a big cat. It's a big, big cat. So being generous of spirit. So this could mean that you are the king of air, and that has to do with whatever decision you're making. You're the decision maker, and your intuition is saying to be kind, to be generous. Because you have it to give, either spiritually or physically or whatever, either now or in the future. All right, well, keep it in mind. Be generous of spirit. Don't be too hard on people. And maybe even this one too. Does that make sense? Don't be too hard on this one either. On the reverse Queen of Air that's cycling through some sort of disastrous, harsh energy. I mean, they don't have their reasons, but they do. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. I was a little harsh on the Queen of Air here. All right, anything from the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle? Okay, good. So I was gonna take extreme measures and pick a card myself. Your path is before you know. Even if you sometimes lack confidence to trust in the path that you are upon, know this: you cannot miss your destiny. I shall guide your feet and inspire your heart to keep you true to your rightful divine life path. Trust me, trust yourself, take your journey now. That's what I'm seeing here. Trust yourself. Trust this high priestess. Trust it. I mean, if you have been meditating, and we did get meditate and contemplate, so definitely be on your meditation. I have a whole meditation playlist of several. Find something that, if you don't already have a meditation practice, find something that works for you. But yeah, this seems to be like your high priestess energy. Trust me, trust yourself. Trust, and Kuan Yin is all about compassion, but trust yourself to make this decision. And I love this patience, and maybe you've been very patient with someone already, and that should probably continue, unless it's a bad abusive situation. So, trust the path that you are on. So sticking with something that you have been sticking with and making some sort of intuitive decision here. All right, well, I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will chat again later. Bye. Oh, wait, I hope that you guys have been seeing my shorts. The little, I've been going through the zodiac and little 1-minute shorts, posting them to YouTube and my new Instagram page. So if you're interested in some, I think they're pretty weekly, some weekly 1-minute shorts per each zodiac, those are up, but YouTube doesn't always show you the same, the shorts for who you're following. Because I discovered that some people I follow have shorts just recently. So anyway, just to let you know, those are available. So, all right, now have a great week. Talk to you later.